As Afghanistan prepares for another election, the elephant in the room remains the military struggle against the Taliban and the pending decision from President Obama on whether to send thousands more US troops into the fight. Well, Republican Senator John McCain has been among the most vocal supporters of a surge, and he joins us now from Capitol Hill. Great to have you on the programme, Senator.
Thank you, Matt.
Now, it would take the US and the UK at least 2 weeks, if not a lot more, to organise a decent election. How on earth do you think Afghanistan can get it done in such a short time?
Well, I think it's going to be very difficult. Obviously, as was mentioned in the previous spot, that there is onset of winter, which makes it extremely difficult. But to wait until next spring, of course, would be impossible. I think it's going to be very difficult, but I think it can be done, and frankly, I think it should be done, and I appreciate the work that Senator John Kerry did on this issue.
It's a high-risk strategy, though, isn't it? Because if for some reason the second round also fails, I mean, the perils of that are huge.
Well, look, I don't think we expect a perfect election. Elections in Iraq were very difficult. This is going to be very difficult. But the fact that there's going to be attempts made and improvements made, I think, are important. But look, one of the things that makes for a good election is environment of security. The Taliban have control of certain areas of the country, and it'll make it extremely difficult, if not impossible. So the moral of the story is get enough troops in there to get security for the people so that they can vote if they want to.
How do you persuade the families of soldiers in the United States, in the UK, and elsewhere for that matter, that this is a sacrifice worth making, that going back and providing security for Afghan people to vote yet again, risking their lives, is something that needs to be done?
Well, I think two levels of appeal. One is that we all know where Al-Qaeda trained and attacks were orchestrated against the United States of America from bases in Afghanistan, and we don't want a return of Afghanistan to a place where attacks could be launched against the United States and our allies. On a second level, and this is an advantage to us, the Afghans don't want the Taliban back. They're the most brutal regime, probably one of the most brutal, certainly as far as women are concerned, that we've ever witnessed. And the Afghan people don't want them back. And I'm confident that once we give them the security and the help they need, that we'll have an Afghan army that's not only willing but capable of taking over those responsibilities over time. But, Matt, it's going to be long, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be tough. It's very tough there, as we all know.
But are you confident, Senator, that you can win this fight?
I'm totally confident. Iraq was far worse off, far worse off when the surge began. I have great confidence in General Petraeus and General McChrystal, and frankly, our British officers and allies and friends. They're magnificent too, and I've had the privilege of visiting with them in combat zones, and I have great confidence in their ability to get the job done. But there's got to be governance, and there's got to be other aspects of this reform that needs to be done, and beating back the Taliban. But first you have to provide security. You can only do that with additional 40,000 troops or so.
You can send additional forces to Afghanistan and engage in that particular gamble. But what about neighbouring Pakistan? And arguably this is an even trickier conflict to deal with, and the United States cannot send forces there.
Well, let me remind you, Matt, that just a few months ago, some of the so-called experts predicted the collapse of the Pakistani government. As we speak, there's 30,000 Pakistani troops going into Waziristan to take out the Taliban, and they're suffering heavy casualties. Now they're asking us to secure the Afghan-Pakistan border. It's hard and it's tough, and no one said that it's going to be easy, and American and British casualties will go up initially as we move into areas that are controlled by the Taliban. But I'm confident we can succeed, and we must.
In one line, is Afghanistan still the graveyard of empires?
Well, you know, the Afghanistan is a tough neighborhood. Nobody knows that better than the British. But I'm confident that the people of Afghanistan, once we secure the environment for them, are great and magnificent people, and they're great fighters when we get a fully trained and large enough military establishment that's Afghan.
They are indeed. Got to leave it there. Senator McCain, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Matt.